So one of the key components in any open source project or any coding project for that matter is the documentation. And that is the code and the text around the code that tells you what's happening. Within PhysLean, a key component of the documentation is something called the module documentation. And that is a string at the top of each file. Let me show you. And it tells you what is going to happen in that file. So let me go to this file here. This is a lean file, and this top bit here is the module documentation. And every file in PhysLean has one of these bits of documentation. It's there to tell you what's happening in the project. As you can see by this specific example, a lot of the module documentation within PhysLean isn't as good as it could be, or isn't as helpful as it could be. So what you can do to help is help contribute to this module documentation by helping improve it, make it more explicit, give references and things like that. So let me show you how to do that. Let me first come over to issues. Within the issues of PhysLean, there's this issue called module docstring improvements. And if we click on that, we get this big issue here. Now, issue in the computer science and the GitHub world doesn't necessarily mean issue. It just means something we want to track, like a feature or a bug or an improvement that we're trying to make. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's an issue with the code. So that's often a misnomer that the physicists might have coming into this. This issue isn't an issue in a sense. It's really something there just to track our progress with the module documentations. So what does this issue consist of? It consists of a list of every file within PhysLean and a little checkbox next to them. Now you'll notice that none of these checkboxes have been ticked. And the idea behind this is that once we make the docstring good enough to our satisfaction, we'll click one of these we'll click the checkbox here. And this will give us a marker to see how good, or how much progress we've made improving the documentation of PhysLean. So if you want to help with this, come over to this issue and find a docstring, or find a file that you want to improve on. And let me go back to the same file that we were in before. For example, this one, I can click the link and it will take me to that file. And I can see the docstring there. So if you have this docstring and you want to suggest an improvement for it, let me just copy that to my clipboard. The easiest way to do this is to come over here, back to this issue. You're going to click these double dots here. You're going to go convert to an issue. And you will see that we now have an issue. And we can click this, I think, and it will take us to that issue. And we can go the docstring of this file, or we could say the docstring of this module is I think it should be improved to, and then write your improvement down here. And I'll go over the best way to write the improvement, or what sort of things should be included in the docstring in a second. So this is kind of the structure of this issue, and then you would post the issue with this comment. Obviously, this would be my new improved docstring. And you'd comment. And then what would happen is me or somebody else would look at this, we would take that issue and we would put it into PhysLean. And we would do this so that you are co-authored in that pull request. Obviously, you're the one that wrote it, so you would be the one that gets the credit for it. And that means you never have to deal with the pull request side of stuff. You never have to deal with the intricacies of GitHub. This is the simplest way to do this. If you do want to get involved more, you can obviously make a pull request that improves the docstring itself. And obviously that is more helpful to us. But this is a great way to contribute. And it's much better than doing nothing. So let me go over the sorts of things that this docstring, or how we would write such a docstring for PhysLean. What are the sort of things that we would want to be in there? So if I click that, Sorry. If I click this, I want to come over here. I want to find the issue again. Let's see, where's it gone? Electromagnetism. Good, it's here. I don't know if it'll let me. Has my link gone? I think my link may have gone. So my link has gone. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find that file itself. So the file is obviously, we can see here, it's PhysLean.electromagnetism electrostatics.basic. Basic in PhysLean just basically means it's the source file of that directory, kind of. It's like the one that you default go to. So if we want to improve this doc string, we want to basically explain what is done in this file. So we could write, for example, this file is the starting file for electrostatics. In it, and then we could, if we wanted to, we could give a brief description of electrostatics. Electrostatics corresponds to the study of electric fields in the absence of time variation. And then what we could do is we could give a quick overview of the sorts of things that are in the file. So that would be key results. And so this hash thing here is basically markdown syntax for a heading, and then these dashes are markdown syntax for a list. So the key results in this file are these types here, basically. So the static electric field, and we can come over here, we can see what is the static electric field. It's the type of static electric field that is time independent field. Okay, so the type containing static electric fields. It's kind of obvious from the name, but it's always good to spell these things out. We have static potential, if I remember correctly. Well, actually, charge distribution. Type of static charge distributions. And we have not quite static electric potential, but this, sorry, not quite static potential, but static electric potential. The type of static electric potentials. And one could go on and explain the other key results. Don't explain like every single lemma or definition that happens within the file here. But if there's something obvious that could go there, put it there. If you can't do this, if you're struggling to read the lean code, I would suggest just not putting it for now. Even just improving this first bit, explaining roughly what's in the file, and that sort of stuff is still an improvement. So anything that's an improvement, feel free to do this process. And then it also helps to put some references, good references on electrostatics, include and on Lif. I'm going to check its spelling of its name. Lifshitz, etc. So stuff like that is always really helpful. And yeah, that's kind of how we would improve the module documentation string. And then we would comment, and that would put a comment here, and then we would be able to see the documentation. And then, somebody could come along and comment to this, or they could make a pull request for this documentation. So that's the simplest way you can help contribute to PhysLean by contributing to helping improve the module documentation. Like I was saying, and I think this is important, this is the simplest way you can do this. You can get more sophisticated. So if you want to help more, you can clone the repository, you can make pull requests that directly make these module documentation changes, file documentation changes, by making a pull request directly. I'm kind of giving you the simplest way to do it here. And if you want to get more involved, there's obviously a bunch of other things that you can do, including help and write lean code, help and clean up lean code, and all of that. Good. So hopefully that was understandable, and hopefully that has helped a few people potentially find a way that they can get involved with the project.